the Parra podcast, proudly brought to you by Rubbish Removal Kings, The Corner Post, Flash Conveyancing, Parramatta Leagues Club, Wine Barrels Event Hire Sydney, and Wick Coffee, proud sponsors of the Parra podcast. Parramatta Leagues Club, home of the Eels. Across from CommBank Stadium, it is perfect for your pre-game meal at one of the many options to eat, and also a Jack's Pale Ale as well. Or simply have a roll in Kicks 10-pin or play one of the many arcade games as well. See you all there pre-game at Parramatta Leagues Club, or simply head to the website www.paraleagues.com.au to see what's on, and don't forget to sign up as a member today to enjoy one of the many member-only options. Parramatta Leagues Club, proud sponsors of the Parra podcast.
Let's go! Welcome back to another show. Hi, how are ya? It's the Parra podcast coming at ya. Turn it up, feel the vibe, blue and gold, step inside the cave. Yeah. Easy try in the corner. Here's your host, Troy Water, coming to you live from the world famous Parra Cave.
Hi, how are ya? Welcome back to the Parra podcast. This is the NRL Round review podcast, and round number 7 is done and dusted. Let's get straight into it. Ben from the Corner Post, how did you enjoy your rugby league over the weekend? Obviously, you enjoyed it immensely with our Parramatta Eels winning the last game of the round against the Bulldogs, 38 points to 20.
Oh, I 100% did. And if you'd like to hear my thoughts on that one, you can go ahead and listen to our game review podcast that'll will have been released by the time that you guys are listening to this one. I had a great week of footy. My tipping was back to its usual horrendous self again, but that's all right. We live and we learn. Took a bit of a intentional bullet to help Parramatta get over the line. The reverse curse is well and truly back in play. I think it'll be back in play next week as well. I'll try to see if it's me or if it's the team that's helping us win. And yeah, look, it was a great week of footy. Some good results, some unexpected results, a few upsets, a few close upsets. You know, that's rugby league for you. That's what we love about the great game, isn't it?
That is. I got 5 out of 8, and I'm really disappointed that I only jumped up, I think, about 4 spots in my tipping comp. That's probably, I did tip Parramatta, but that's probably largely because my tipping comp is full of Parramatta supporters, so they probably tip Parramatta as well, so it wasn't really much of an upset victory. I thought if I tip Parramatta, which I do every week, and they win, I'd jump right up the ladder, but maybe in some other comps I would have done that. But
well, that makes me feel a bit better because I went 5 for 8 as well, but I didn't tip Parramatta. I did the old reverse curse and got us over the line, so that's not bad in the context of it, I guess.
Yeah, well, one game I did get wrong was the Cowboys. They went down to the Sea Eagles, 38 points to 6, up there in Townsville in front of 17,476. 6 tries to 1. The Cowboys come crashing down back to earth, and the Sea Eagles, Fosball, keeps on high flying. It's his Manly's third win in a row, although it did come at a cost. Tommy Trbojevic, he is out for, I think, 6 to 8 weeks with what I believe is his 8th hamstring injury in his career. So that's pretty sad to see.
Yeah, it is. It's always devastating when you see a superstar player go down, especially this close to Origin for us Blues fans. I think Tommy was well and truly up for the conversation of Origin again. So, it's definitely a devastating one for them. It was devastating for my tips too, because I once again went against our great mate Sean from Macron and tipped the Cowboys in this one. I thought they'd keep the train rolling, and they came out looking like absolute garbage. So I don't really know what to say about this game, to be honest. It was such a deflating culmination of what has been a great few weeks for both sides. I really was expecting a potential match of the round candidate out of this match, and it just wasn't. It was a pretty poor crowd, 17,476. I thought they would have got a few more out there for a high-flying battle such as this one.
Thursday nights are hard, though.
Yeah, but you know, it was a good night. It wasn't too hot. It wasn't, there wasn't anything else on in Townsville stopping people from getting out there. I thought, there was a potential for the Cowboys to go close to the top of the table if they won this game. So if that's how they're going to get out when their team's flying high, I hate to see what happens when they're flying low.
Lehigh Hopewadi, he got a double early on in the game, which got Manly off to a flyer, 22-6 at halftime, and the Cowboys, they just could not peg the Sea Eagles back. But look, it's amazing how 3 games winning now in a row for the Sea Eagles. They certainly have some confidence playing under Kieran Foran, and it's an amazing job that Kieran's doing, to be honest, to get 3 wins on the trot against quality opposition over the last 3 weeks. But they march on in this competition, and they are getting higher up on the ladder. We'll go through that at the end. But Friday night, there was a couple of great games on Friday night. The Raiders and the Storm down there in Canberra, and look, the Raiders, they got the victory, 26 points to 22, 17,321 down there as well. The Storm, 5 losses in a row now, which puts them down to 15th spot on the ladder. Everyone does say that they did lose 5 in 2012 and win the comp, but it is just great to see the Melbourne Storm down the bottom of the ladder.
Yeah, 100% it is. And this match was one that there's always one that I find each week that I think about tipping it, and I always get it wrong. And instead of going with my gut, I go with my head. And this is one of those ones that I wanted to go with my gut on it, but I just couldn't back the Storm to lose a 5th in a row because it's so rare that it happens. I think it's happened 3 times before this, and only once or twice under Craig Bellamy. So it's a really rare feat that Melbourne lose 5 in a row. And, for only the 4th time in their history, they've now done that. So it was really hard to tip against Melbourne with this one. So it is one that I got wrong. And I think many others will have gotten this one wrong. But this was, on the scoreboard, this looks like it was a really good game. And it did go down to the wire. Melbourne did have a big opportunity at the end of the game to ice this one off and get the victory as well. But this was more, to me, a really good game between 2 really bad teams. It didn't have that sort of high-flying footy to it. Like it wasn't like, I guess I could use, for example, the Parra Bulldogs game that we'll get to at the end of this show. That was, I thought, a really good game between 2 really good sides. This one, to me, didn't quite look that way. You could see that both of these sides were struggling. You could see that there was a lot of disconnects between a lot of players on either side of the ball. And look, it turned out to be a good game in the end. It was a good scoreboard spectacle, but yeah, it wasn't my favourite game of the round, that's for sure.
What do you think is happening at the Melbourne Storm? I mean, their completion rate was only 67%, and we don't usually see that from the Melbourne Storm. They're usually, high 80s, mid 80s in their completion rate. So they're obviously not holding on to the ball, making mistakes, but 5 losses in a row now. What do you think is happening down there in Melbourne?
Well, I think you could ask the same question about Canberra, because they've gone from the top of the ladder last season to being damn near unbeatable last season to being, how they are now. I mean, they've got a couple wins in a row and they're only 13th. So the only reason they're not 14th is because they are for and against being as bad as it is. So it's both sides, really. Both of these guys are really, really in the thick of it. They're really in the mud at the moment. I can put Melbourne's down to a lot of those young guys in that side are leaving at the end of the year. They're all going to different sides. A few of them are going to Perth. Some of them are going elsewhere. I think that's a lot to do with it. They've maybe got their heads on an exit. Maybe they're they haven't quite come around to Craig Bellamy's style of coaching, the way that some of the veteran players in that side obviously are responding, because you've still got your big three, big four that are doing what they usually do. But I look at this Storm side right now, and I can see why they were so heavily chasing Zach Lomax. I can see that there is the need in that side for an extra veteran presence, an extra star in that side to sort of make up for what these other young guys are doing. And I guess that's why we're seeing such a mass exodus there at Storm too. Melbourne's happy to let a lot of these guys go just because they're refusing to perform. It's really a strange thing with Melbourne. It's something that we're really not used to.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. But I don't know about having young blokes in the side. I mean, pretty much the winger, he's probably someone I haven't heard of before, but still their backline: Longo, Warbrick, Howarth, Nick Meaney, Cameron Munster, Jerome Hughes. I mean, they're all known names. I mean, Cooper Clark.
Yeah, but they're all still very young too. I think most of those guys are under 50 games NRL played, and as we say, you're not really a first grader until you played 50.
Well, Longo, yes. Will Warbrick, he's played more than 50. So
Has he? Wow. I thought for sure he would have been under 50.
No, he's played more than
How many
50.
has he played?
I will tell you, he has played, I'm just bringing it up now, just bear with me, 63 games.
Okay, well, it's still pretty close to 50, I guess.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know if it's inexperience that's there, because, I mean, they are still pretty noticeable names, but maybe it's just not happening for the Storm at the moment.
I think what it is I think that the players that are in that side that are really inexperienced, besides Sua Fa'alongo, who's playing fantastic footy, I think those few ones that are inexperienced are the ones that are really letting them down. And that's a bit of a shame, really, because you can see there's some good players in this side. You can see that it still does have the bones of a premiership side. But it's those sort of few young guys that are really letting them down. And you can really see a few of them, like Tyron Wishart, for example. He looks very disinterested. And what I did find interesting as well, while we're on the subject of Zach Lomax, the couple of players that we asked for in that Zach Lomax swap deal that never eventuated, they've also been linked with an exit now. Melbourne have said if they continue performing or underperforming the way that they are right now, that they're happy for them to leave. So could it maybe be that Lomax disruption at the start of the season put a cat amongst the pigeons and really messed up the chemistry of that dressing room?
Nah, I don't think so. I don't think players are disinterested. I mean, I don't believe in players go out there to lose games. I believe that players go out there to win games, no matter who you are and what team you are. I don't think players are just turning up for paychecks. I mean, call me crazy if you want, but I just think it's just not happening for them at the moment. They're just, it's just one of those things in rugby league. The wrestle in the game is no longer there as well, as much as what it was in the past, which Melbourne were really good at. Because of the 6 again rule, the game has got faster, and they just haven't adapted to that sort of style of play, I don't think, now. So, look, it's something they're going to have to work on, and they're going to have to fix up pretty quick, smart, because otherwise they're going to miss out on the top 8. Penrith and the Dolphins, Darwin, TIO Stadium, a ground that Parramatta are familiar with. 12,570 there. Pretty good, decent crowd up there in Darwin. Humid conditions up there, as we know. 4 tries all, 3 conversions all. And the difference was a Nathan Cleary field goal in Golden Point. 18-0 at half-time, the Panthers. This is a game that they almost let slip, and the Dolphins nearly snatched it away from them.
Yep, 100%. The Darwin curse does continue, though. The home side at Darwin has historically not fared very well up there, and now the Dolphins have taken over that deal, and thank goodness have taken it off us, because good riddance to that place. I know we had a lot of a lot of good experiences off the field in Darwin, but on the field, it was definitely a bit of a nightmarish place. So I'm glad that Parramatta are away from that now and somebody else has taken over that curse. We'll see how it goes over the next few years with the Dolphins there, but it's not been a good start, has it?
Well, no. I mean, obviously 18-0 at half time. I mean, it must have been one hell of a half time speech from Christian Wolf to get them back into the game. Herbie Farnworth, the Hammer, Selwyn Cobbo, Jake Averillo did all the damage scoring the tries there, and they were pretty quick tries, 45, 51, 54, 60th minute to get them back into the game. And Jermaine Osako, he's a pretty sharp shooter. He got the goals, and it went to Golden Point. Now, Golden Point, obviously you would have been expecting Nathan Cleary to be heavily involved in that, and he was. He kicked the winning field goal. Now people are going to call him the Iceman again. The Iceman delivers and gets Penrith another victory.
Yeah, it was strange how this one came about because it wasn't the typical Golden Point winning field goal that we're used to seeing. It wasn't one of those ones where Nathan had the smallest amount of space and the ball was thrown out his way and he miraculously managed to get the kick away in time. This was a weird one. It was like time stood still for a while and Nathan just had all the time in the world to think about it and all the time in the world to slot it, and it was almost like the Dolphins didn't even bother trying to charge it down. It's a really, really weird field goal, not something that we're used to seeing, but it did quite remind me of the Cowboys the week prior. I think that win against the Broncos, I think it was it Scotty Drinkwater that slotted that field goal in that game? He's actually a left foot kicker, and all the players set up that hadn't realised he was a left footer. They'd all set up to charge down on his right foot, and all of a sudden they ran past him, and he had all the time in the world to get his left foot free and slotted the field goal with ease, just like Nathan did with this one. So a couple of weird field goals 2 weeks in a row, but yeah, a bit of a strange anticlimax, that one.
And Tom Jenkins, his try-scoring ability continues. He got another double, which I think is about his 6th or 7th, maybe 6, 7 double in a row for Penrith, and he's leading that try-scoring list so far in this competition. The Panthers, they got another victory and are on top of the NRL ladder. Well, the Warriors, they got a win over the Titans, 28 points to 20 over there in New Zealand. 20 big healthy crowd there, 24,112, 5 tries to 4. The Titans obviously high on confidence after defeating Parramatta 52-10 last week, but they couldn't get the job done over there in New Zealand. 22 points to nil at half time. I bet the Warriors were a little bit nervous in that second half with the Gold Coast Titans coming back. They may have snatched that victory.
Look, yes and no. It was 22-0 at half time, and then you had Jojo Fifita score their first try, which was unconverted in the 50th minute, and then Aaron Clark scored a converted try pretty much immediately after that. So it looked like they were well in control up until pretty much the last 10 minutes. It was only like a little, kind of like the game we'll get to later with Parramatta and the Bulldogs. It was a bit of a job's done last 10 minutes. Let's sort of slack off kind of performance that kept the Titans in that game. But I don't think they were ever really in any serious risk or at any serious risk of losing that game. I think that that last try maybe came a little bit too late for them to get back into it. But nonetheless, it gave us a couple of minutes of excitement and a couple of minutes of Titans fans maybe believing they could do the impossible. But yeah, look, it was too big of a gap to bridge in such a short amount of time.
They did have more possession than the Warriors, a couple of minutes more possession, but their completion rate let them down, 72%, 87 for the Warriors. The interesting thing there is the offloads, 19 to the Titans and 8 to the Warriors. So obviously playing a bit of catch-up football and trying to offload that ball if they could, but they were unable to get the win over there. Khan Pereira, who you were excited to see come back and play first grade against his old club, scored 2 tries, the opening 2 tries of the game. So, yeah, we've always seen that, haven't we, with players playing against their old clubs. They love to do that, don't they?
Yep, 100% they do. I did have him pinned as a player to watch at the start of this match in our NRL Round preview podcast last week. So I'm glad that one came true. I'm a big fan of Parra, as the listeners have come to learn. I would love someone of his caliber at our Parramatta Eels, but that's another question for another day and another topic. But yeah, no, he had a really good game in this one. I think, as you say, he was excited to face up against his former club and got the job done. So more credit to him. 2 tries, there's nothing to sneeze at. So he got him off to a good start and then added the second one later on. So he sat on a hat trick for pretty much 3/4 of the game. He was sitting on a hat trick. So I reckon he might have thought he had a chance to get over and complete that hat trick, but it wasn't to be.
Nevertheless, good to see him back in the NRL. Round 7 for the Rabbitohs. They took on the Dragons, 30 points to 12. They got the victory, 15,000 there at Accor Stadium, 6 tries to 2. The final result there, 30 points to 12, probably doesn't show the effort that the Dragons put into this game. 16-12 at half time. The Rabbitohs, they've got the early start through Latrell Mitchell scoring the opening try, but then the Dragons came back and scored tries to Damien Cook and Hamish Stewart. Damien Cook, he was certainly pumped up after scoring his try there. But a little bit of drama pre-game, actually, in the warm-up. Jacob Little, he was going to start the game, even though Damien Cook was in the number 9 jersey, but I think it was a hamstring injury to Jacob, which ruled him out. So Damien actually started the game instead of coming off the bench. But we saw our first send-off of the year too. Jaden Sewer, 68th minute, sent off in this game. But your thoughts on the Dragons' performance in this game?
Yeah, well, it's quite funny, and it will be the same for next week as well. The Dragons have had pre-game. Well, these two in particular were directly pre-game, but we'll include the next point for the match week as well. The Dragons have had an incident pre-game in every one of their last 3 games in the last 3 weeks. So last week they had the team merch truck tip over when the driver was probably doing a couple of things he probably shouldn't have been doing, going down a hill with a trailer attached. And this week they had Jacob Little ruled out pre-game with that injury in the warm-up. And next week they're going to be getting spoken to by a new coach because Flanagan's been given the flick. We spoke a little bit off air about that. I'm not sure if I would have flicked him. I think maybe when you're in this deep of a hole, you sort of give him a chance to see if he can dig out of it. I think they had that meeting last week, and I thought that they may have given him another 3 or 4 weeks to see what he could do, but they decided that they'd seen enough in this game, which is a bit strange because I thought this was one of their better games of the year. It was just that, Souths managed to make the scoreboard tick over a little bit more than they did. So I actually thought their performance was half decent. But again, this is going to be a bit of a theme this week. What I didn't think was half decent was the crowd figure. Accor Stadium on a Saturday night, good weather, nothing, a really nice day. 2 rival clubs, 15,000 people showed up. I think that's a really, really poor go by especially the South fans. Like you think they'd try to fill out that stadium to watch a victory over their big rivals, the Dragons, but apparently not. Thoughts on that one?
It's hard to do at Accor Stadium, as we've seen in the past, to fill a 80,000 seat stadium. And it was against the Dragons. Maybe many Rabbitohs fans thought they were going to get the win anyway, and look, let's just stay home on Saturday night and watch it on TV or something like that. But it's always hard to fill a stadium like that.
I think the Charity Shield actually got more attendance in this game.
Yeah, but the Charity Shield was out in the country, so you're always going to get a good crowd out in the country, and at a smaller ground as well. But yeah, look, it would have been good to see a few more people turn up to this game. They had the legend Mario Fennick ring the South bell before the game, which is great to see. Good to see Mario there ringing the bell, doing it tough at the moment. Alex Johnston, he added to his try scoring tally, and Matt Duffy, he got a try for his Rabbitohs debut against his former club, the Dragons. A lot of Dragons fans upset about that one. As I mentioned, Jaden Sewer sent off. I think it looks like he'll be getting a 3-4 week suspension. Now, for us Parramatta
Sent him
fans,
straight to the Parra.
well, yeah, maybe. He'll certainly be fresh, which is good for another 3 weeks. But yeah, look, it was a pretty bad hit on Cameron Murray, but it is something that I guess as Parramatta fans, that's what we want to see, is the aggression that can come. If he can tailor that down, obviously we don't want to see that again. If he can tailor that down, that's the aggression that Parramatta needs. But as you mentioned there, Shane Flanagan and Ben Harron, the general manager of football from the Dragons, they have mutually agreed to part ways as of today, and I don't know what the coaching future holds for Shane Flanagan at the moment. Obviously, he'll take some time away from the game and reassess what he wants to do in the game, that's for sure. But the Rabbitohs, they march on. They get a victory.
Have they announced yet who's replacing Flanagan?
No. I dare say it'll probably be Dean Young. In the meantime, the assistant coach. So, what we thought was the game of the round, or will be the game of the round, probably was, to be honest. The Broncos and the Tigers out at Campbelltown. They too had 17,000 there as well. That might have been the popular figure in crowd figures throughout the NRL this week, 17,000. 3 tries all, 3 conversions all, 1 penalty goal all. It was there. Adam Reynolds' field goal was the difference. But look, the Tigers, they cannot be disappointed. Well, obviously they're going to be disappointed with the loss, but to take it to the Premiers out there at Campbelltown, the Broncos haven't lost at Campbelltown. They had that going for them, but yeah, the Tigers, they certainly are playing an exciting brand of footy at the moment.
Yeah, I'm loving watching the Tigers play. I'm really excited. I hope they keep it up and they do make finals, because I'll be excited to see what this young Tiger squad can do with finals ahead of them. They are playing some great footy, and it's a credit to them that that's what created this sort of game of the round matchup between these two sides. It was a bit funny. We're sitting around at the corner post watching the typical Fox League intros that you get throughout the week when they're sort of leading up, and it was really funny to watch Matt and Abel talk about the West Tigers, because it's been quite a long time since the spotlight game has included the Tigers for the right reasons rather than the wrong reasons. So we all sort of looked at each other when that came on, and we went, bloody hell, is he talking about the Tigers? That's a bit odd. No, look, Tigers fans, they'll be happy despite the loss. I think they played fantastic football, and it was a bit of a culmination on both sides. Both of these teams could have just as easily lost this game due to an error from a young future superstar in their lineups. I think there was one from Macassini that just about cost the Tigers the game, and then there was one from the young fella. His name eludes me at the moment, but the young fella on debut for the Broncos. He had a intercept, or almost half intercept, with a 60-meter field staring in front of him, and couldn't bring the ball down and ended up dropping it, and it went straight back to the Tigers, who I think went over to score. So two young guys on debut, or not Macassini on debut, but two young guys in a couple of fiery squads, and potentially had their heads in their hands at the end of this one. So one of them will be relieved, and the other one will probably be spewing a little bit that he couldn't get the job done for his team.
Adam Reynolds, the professional, he put a great kick over for, I think it was Dean Mariner's try. Just some great vision, and pretty much landed on his chest, and he just ran away and scored. It was great vision from Adam Reynolds, and obviously he was the difference kicking the field goal in the end. So that experience has come back for the Broncos, and that's something they needed. And look, they've been up and down this year, and yeah, the Tigers, they are playing some exciting footy, that is for sure. And as I said, they won't be disappointed. Obviously, they'll be disappointed losing the game, but they won't be disappointed about the way they lost, because they played some good footy. Unfortunately, though, for the Broncos, Payne Haas is facing 6 to 8 weeks on the sidelines after a grade 3 MCL injury as well. So that is a big blow for the Broncos, having already lost a couple of star players as well, Ben Hunt and Reece Walsh as well. So another, but we all know what Payne Haas does for this Brisbane Broncos side. Look, the Roosters and the Knights, they played at Allianz Stadium, 22,409, 7 tries to 4 win for the Roosters, 38-24. However, it was 24 points to 12 at half time to the Newcastle Knights. What went wrong for the Newcastle Knights?
Look, I think nothing went wrong on Fletcher Hunt's side. He ended up with a hat trick in this game, so I think he'll probably be staring at all his teammates in the sheds after that one, going, "Come on, like I did my part." But I think it might be, just to add a little bit of intrigue and humour into this one, I think it might be that famous 24-point scoreline for the Knights. They've come very close to giving up that famous scoreline in a famous grand final that may or may not involved our team in 2001. And this time around, they did give up that 24-point scoreline. So, look, it's an interesting one. It's a strange one. This was another one that we had pegged as a potential game of the round, and it was looking that way at halftime when the scoreline was what it was, and even up to the 60th minute where Nwanga scored the go-ahead score there. It was looking like it was 55th minute Tedesco with the go-ahead score. It was looking like it was still one of those matches that was in the balance, but I think maybe Newcastle went out a little bit too hard too early. They might have tried to roll over the top of the Roosters, and then obviously the Roosters managed to stay in the contest, and I think they maybe just ran out of steam at the end. They didn't have enough in the tank to be able to hold them out for that last 20 minutes.
Yeah, the missed tackles really hurt the Newcastle Knights. 49 missed tackles to compared to the Roosters 16. So even though their completion rate was pretty good, 86%, and they had less possession as well than the Roosters, but the Roosters, they made the Newcastle Knights pay when they did have the ball, with the Knights missing those tackles. So you cannot do that if you want to win football games, obviously. But that's a couple of losses in a row now for the Newcastle Knights. Is that a concern for them after the start of the season that they've had?
No, not really. They've had a bit of an injury crisis themselves. I actually think they're probably, considering how they were last year, they're probably very far ahead of where they expected to be at the moment, even with this last couple of losses. So I think they sit around 8th on the table at the moment, and heading into the week they were, I think, 4th or 5th or something. So I think you ask around the grounds, ask around all the Knights fans, they'll probably still be pretty happy with where they're at the moment.
And the last game of the round, I should say, was at CommBank Stadium. I'm sure you'll probably agree this was a pretty healthy crowd, and what you want to see, 25,938, 38 points to 20, the Bulldogs and the Eels. The Eels got the win, 38 points to 20 over the Bulldogs, the arch rivals. There was a lot of talk going into this game. Can Parramatta bounce back after their defeat to the Titans? Will the Bulldogs win this game after their win against the undefeated Panthers at the time? 6 tries to 4, 18-4 at half time. What are your thoughts on this game? We've done our game review podcast, so can we wrap it up in a nutshell sort of thing and let people listen to the game review podcast?
Yeah, we absolutely can. I'm looking very very much forward to getting into the corner post next week and talking to all of those Bulldogs fans that came in last week and said that they were going to put 70 on us. So
Okay.
I'd like to say a big sucked into all of them. I know they probably won't be listening, but sucked into them anyway. That's what happens when you get too overconfident heading into a match. You show up in big numbers. You fill out the away section and you all go home early. You all leave 10 minutes before the match finishes. So that was a good one. I enjoyed it thoroughly. We had a great day out. You and I, we were sitting up in the chairman's lounge with all the old legends from the '86 team, and a few of our good friends as well were joining us up there too. So we had a great day. We were wined and dined, and fed healthily and ingested a healthy amount of alcohol as well. So it was a great day out for us. And for thoughts on that game, feel free to go listen to our game review podcast because it was a really, really good one and a really fun one this week.
But we did drink responsibly. We must throw that one in as well. But, it was a great day out. For sure, with the 86 grand final team there. All but one, I think it was, that was there. One couldn't make it, unfortunately, but nevertheless, to have pretty much the whole team there and the coach as well, that was a great day. It was a great atmosphere, great vibe, even before game. But look, I'd just say in this part of it, there was just a great bounce back from Parramatta. They obviously were disappointed last week against the Titans, but got pumped up for this game and didn't want to put in a poor performance in front of the 86 team, which they didn't. And you saw that right from the kickoff with Junior Paulo taking that ball off the hit-up. And you saw his intent of what he was going to do throughout the day. And, the rest of the team followed his lead. So a great victory, great confidence builder for Parramatta. Now, the ladder of after the completion of round number 7, the Panthers are back on top, and then the Warriors, Tigers, Rabbitohs, and the Roosters, Sea Eagles, Sharks, and Knights round out the top 8. The big movers in the top 8, I guess you could say, would be the Rabbitohs and Roosters, or even the Sea Eagles as well, and the Knights, they've dropped down now a few spots down to 8th. In 9th, the Broncos, Bulldogs, Cowboys, Dolphins, Raiders, Eels in 14th spot, and the Melbourne Storm in 15th, the Titans in 16th, and the poor old Dragons in 17th spot on the ladder. Now, as we mentioned, next week, round number 8 is Anzac Round, and it kicks off on Thursday night. Tigers and Raiders, Cowboys and Sharks, Broncos and Bulldogs. The traditional Anzac Day games, the Dragons and Roosters at Allianz Stadium, the Warriors and Dolphins in New Zealand, and the Storm and Rabbitohs down in Melbourne. And then on Sunday, 2 games, the Knights and Panthers at McDonald Jones Stadium, and the Sea Eagles taking on the Parramatta Eels at Four Pines Park, and the Gold Coast Titans have the bye this weekend. So that's another NRL review of round number 7 done. We're certainly flying throughout this competition at the moment. Ben, I hope you enjoyed that weekend of rugby league, and I hope you're looking forward to this weekend's rugby league as well.
Oh, 100% I am. I'm very much looking forward to taking it to Manly at Four Pines Park. It's always a fun place to travel to, and it's always a fun result when we get the chocolates and we get across them on the day. So I'll be looking forward to doing that one again. And until next time, enjoy your footy, folks.
That's it, the Parra Cave podcast by the fans, for the fans. Go Parra!
Thanks for listening to another